each one has a name. Yeah. And the active one is Ellie.
Mike, Nate, and Brian, you guys have watched the...
Yeah, that's the video we watched. Yeah.
We'll see them walking around, so they're in the office. So they took a road trip across the country in this RV, and they interviewed over 80 people, and so that's what all the signatures on the ceiling are. The first guy that decoded the human genome is over there.
Oh, wow.
Saturday Night Live stylist is over there, and then this RV has been on some trips after that. We have Weird Al Yankovic's signature.
Howard Schultz on this one?
I don't know if Howard Schultz, CEO of Starbucks, they interviewed him on their first road trip, and the way they got to him is they called the 1-800 number on the back of the Starbucks and just worked on the cuff and just worked their way up to reach Howard Schultz, and they had an interview with him. And
that's cool.
Yeah, so it's pretty neat. So this is the original RV. It's not renting anymore. We use it as kind of a conference room to make calls. And
there you go.
Yeah, so it's pretty. People take naps back there on their lunch breaks. So
I would definitely. Based on my past experiences and everything like that. So. Like I said, but I'm definitely interested. Like, I'm always open to new ideas. And the idea of actually not fitting to what society says you should be, or even maybe you have parents that say you should do this or you should do that, or it kind of drives you in a certain way. Well, at a certain age, you know what I mean. You might hit the wall and like that's not where I want to be.
Right.
I didn't want to go that way. So to actually listen to yourself, your soul, and to get through that and do the road trip nation to experience other. Ways of thinking. I think that's amazing.
Totally.
So I'm like I said, I'm never too old to try to learn something new and expand my mind and open myself up. So
you totally hit the nail on the head, because that's one of our lessons is shed the noise, and the noise is what everyone, even your friends or your family members, with no bad intentions, they just are just telling you, oh, this will be good for you or something, but maybe it's not something you're passionate about or you like.
I wish I could have learned this when I was 17, 18, 19, maybe took a little bit more serious, because
we all say that.
I wouldn't be here now.
Why wasn't this around before?
Absolutely. So shoot, I'm just span my horizon.
Yeah,
see what happens. Yeah, absolutely.
That is something that we all say, that we wish we had something like this when we were in school. I switched my major 4 different times.
You should tell them a little bit about how you got to road trip.
Yeah, we can tell you guys. And what are you interested in?
Psychology.
Psychology.
Yeah, so I don't know exactly what branch I want to go off into. It'll probably be something more social, not necessarily the research aspect, but I just don't know exactly what.
That's very cool. I love psych. I was a psych major for part of my time, so.
There you go.
Me too, a little bit too.
Yeah, so we can tell you a little bit about ourselves. In high school, I had no idea what I wanted to do. In college, still had no idea what I wanted to do. I went to University of Colorado, and I was a psych major at first, and I loved it, but I didn't love the bio part of it, so I was like, I'm going to switch. So I went to communications, didn't really like that, switched to sociology, I had a lot of switching, and then my friend said, because I was always kind of interested in the TV world, and she said, why don't you try broadcast production in the journalism school? And I was like, okay, why not? I'm open. So I switched to that. I really liked it. It was more towards like TV broadcasting, like news and stuff, which I didn't really like. I'm more of a reality TV fan. I do admit it myself.
But to become a radiologist or a respiratory therapist, because like my son has severe asthma. Like I never would have thought I would want to be a respiratory therapist. Like it's kind of gross. You're putting tubes down people's throat, but my son has severe asthma, and so like going and like I see like the way he looks at them, and like he like loves like his respiratory therapist, like because they help him. They help like, oh, they make me breathe. Like they help me, and so that's helped me a lot to like see like, okay, now I know what I want to do, and now I have something, like, okay, now my kids can see like mommy had me when she was 17, but she still went to school and she got her degree, but then she still went back and did what she actually wanted to do. So because my parents like pushed me like, you need to go to school, you have a child, like you can't, you're 17, you had a baby, that's fine, but you can't just stop now. You don't want to work at Walmart for the rest of your life or something, like go to school. So I went to college, and then I was like, okay, like I took a business class and I took an art class, and then I took like medical terminology, and I'm like, whoa, like I don't know what I want to do. And it wasn't until like last semester I went and seen Bertha, and I was like, oh, like I have like 2 more classes and I can, get a degree.
I went to a community college first, and that's what I was doing. But I was taking the required classes, but then I wanted to take the fun ones.
Yeah.
So I took like music history because I love jazz history. Jazz history. I took like music and film class. You know, all these classes that were fun to me, but I knew I wasn't gonna pursue it. But that was still my interest, and I still took it. You know?
Those are the most memorable classes.
I know
for sure.
Like even before this, I'm a makeup artist. I do, everything from beauty to special effects. So people are like, well,
nice.
So people are like, okay, like you can, slice a neck open and do bridal, but you're doing psychology. So I think it's just like you're saying, it's just, you follow the interest. So, you have a wide selection of anything and of everything that you want to do. And it's just, where do you start? Or, it's hard when you have the pressure on you. It really is. Because it's, even at 27 years old, I don't know, and it's almost expected. Like you're saying, often with society, people are just like, oh, you should do this, you should. No, I should figure out what I want to do before I even make any decisions. So
I think a lot of people who are working here at Roadtrip still don't know. So, so that's okay.
So, it's a good deal. I think it's important to lobby at the state level. I personally, I think that would be a great thing. It's almost like they're making it mandatory to put yourself in a box from the get-go, which, I mean, I think that's detrimental to healthy.
Definitely.
Are there
so many places. I love the Northwest. I love Washington, Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming, and just the mountains and the woods there. But and then there's like places like New Orleans that are just like nowhere else in the country. It's just like so unique in the culture. But then there's actually the city of Detroit. Surprisingly, I just am so fascinated with because it's just so dynamic and so different because they had this huge industry of the auto industry was there, and then everything crashed down, and at one point there was almost 2 million people there, and now there's like 700,000, so like half the people left, and there's this huge city that's just like abandoned.
Desire to stay in school, retain, to graduate, the relevancy of a certification, the relevancy of a four-year degree. None of that really makes sense until you kind of tapped into a trajectory of like, wow, how do I start to put this together? But if you can start to see examples, and for us it was all role models. You see these walls and it's like, man, these people did it.
Right.
They came from the same background, so can we.
Right.
And so for us, that's where it kind of clicked. Having the road trip at a stage in the academic kind of experience to apply it.
Right.
We did it at the end, which was like, good luck. But if you do it early on, then you can say, wow, this econ class actually makes sense to me because I see the end of the road.
Right.
Okay, now I understand why I got to go through, some of the other kind of general or even the more focused topics of study. But we did it. So after we graduated, we went on this trip, and we're like, wow, this would have made so much more sense to our studies. Going back to where you guys are, I would have loved to have had this earlier on in my schooling. Which is why we're so given now to try to
get it as early as you can.
With folks that are trying to figure out where you
fit in, and
for sure.
in a family setting.
What about you?
Well, I had my son when I was 17, so I was still in high school. So my mom was just kind of like, you need to go to college, like, because she had my brother when she was 17, and she went to college and she dropped out, and she was under stress. And then
no clue. So I'm the 33-year-old guy that's trying to get my stuff together. Like I said, I don't have a lot of responsibilities as far as kids and bills and this, that, and the other. I'm just blessed to be we're here, and I'm always trying to open my mind to what else is out there. So.
Like, whoa, how'd you get here? Well, they connected a couple of these dots, and you're just like, what?
We found out like a couple days before, they were like, do you want to interview John Legend? We're like, yeah, we'll make that work. So he gave us his vocal rest break, which was 15 minutes. So we went to the studio and like he just came in.
But that's cool though, because like how he was saying, what oftentimes you'll see people who are successful, but you don't know the bumps and the trials and tribulations they've gone through. And yes, they do documentaries, or they do like the biographies, but who really sits through that whole thing unless you're an absolute fan of that one person? So I think to get a little bit from each and say, just because you've hit a hard place in your life does not mean it's the end of it. Just push through. So I think that the little piece he said was very inspirational.
Cool. I'm glad that was.
chicken with the water.
what we'll be doing is I'm just going to call each of you up one by one, just like Janae did, and we'll just get straight into it. Pretty simple. Yes.
Hello.
Good afternoon, Ms. Janae, Ms. Jones. Thank you for your application for the administrative assistant. Go ahead and grab a seat.
I brought an extra resume in case anyone need one. My name is Janae. I love working with people.
Like is needed. I like to do.
I applied for a job. They hired me on the spot. Like they just asked me a few questions, and they just hired me on the spot. I used to work for an eye doctor at Costco.
Okay. I just like that. Yeah. Well, do you think if that was the easiest way to do it, and this is the hardest way to do it, whatever you do is going to be easy from here on out? You know?